Hello friends, welcome to AJS. In today's video we will talk about Saturn Return to Saturn Square. Separating from the parental mode. The Saturn return is preceded by the secondary progressed lunar return, which occurs around the age of 27 and a half. The preparation for the first real step towards maturity is marked by the 2-year period between the lunar return and the Saturn return. From the first separation of Saturn from itself at birth, the first 2.5 to 3 years of life, the moon played a dominant role because the separation from the mother was the first step away from the egoless state. Now, reaching a rebirth aspect, transiting Saturn at natal Saturn, the experience is reminiscent of that initial separation from the mother and the first stages of independence. This is not always done gracefully. Indeed, it can be as shocking as the birth moment because Saturn is visiting its natal place again, and one looks at one's life from a new perspective. The first stage of the Saturn return marks a time of separation and definition of the quality of the emotional life. There is an urgency to this time, a feeling that one must now sort things out. By this time, Saturn has made all possible aspects and shaped and formed the principles that each planet, house and sign represent in the birth chart. Society and family have provided a vehicle by which to express one's social values, but at the Saturn return this can all appear meaningless, for it is time to revise one's inner values. Many relationships die and goals alter as life catches up with the Saturn return individual. There is a distinct feeling of breaking ties. Ideally, the lunar return encouraged the emotional maturation process, a greater self-reliance on one's own nurturing capacities and a decreasing dependency on mother figures. The Saturn return throws one back on one's own personal resources. Should there be a wide gulf between what society or the family have provided as a convenient value system and what the inner self has been growing towards, the Saturn return can be shattering. There is an increasing willingness to explore alternatives to what one has been doing with one's life. Initially, this urge is instinctive, infantile and undeveloped. People often act on impulse and with surprising results. There is a feeling of adventure coupled with a fear of loss that recalls the growth period from birth to 3, when one begins to move away from mother. This is not a comfortable phase because, as with the infancy stage, one learns to crawl before walking, and in learning to walk one must fall. The first year of the Saturn return is filled with the ambivalence of whether one really wants to grow up or not.